Thanks for tuning in to the Hardheaded podcast. It's time to join the conversation.
Go your role, jabroni.
All right. Welcome. We got an exciting episode for you today. Hey, I can still talk.
You're too loud.
To talk.
Too loud.
You're yelling at me. I don't even know what you're talking about, man. So, we are going to talk about what is on Troy's mind. We're going to have a good word from Matt, and our top 3 today is impulse buys at a grocery store. Your top 3 impulse buys at a grocery store. Before we get to that, though, we're going to hear what is on Troy's mind. Troy, take it away.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chet. You're such a good host. I enjoy that.
Sometimes
Don't you think so, Matt?
Yeah, I think you should do every intro.
I think
sometimes
so too.
I could even do an intro without headphones on. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Not all the time.
I just didn't want you, from a production standpoint, I didn't want you to get too loud. I apologize.
From a talent side of things, step off.
You really, yeah.
He'll be in his trailer.
That's exactly, that's the vibe I got for sure there. Yeah. Oh no. So what's been on my mind lately? So I hear time like over and over again, different people that have been, and this stuff's been going around for the 80s, you know, or since the 80s. I've been alive since the 70s. So
almost all your life.
Almost my whole life, this stuff's been going on. But lately, I feel like every time you turn around, there's a news article or something. Somebody's posted about another pastor that's gotten in trouble, that's had to step down. And, you know.
It started with you with Swaggart.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy Swaggart.
That was back in the
80s.
80s. Yeah. So, and recently there's been, you know, we all know, we've talked about the Mark Driscoll thing. And then
that was the Mars Hill.
Yeah, the Mars Hill church deal. And he was one that I listened to, you know, when he first came out, and then, you know, he just went off the deep end.
Yeah, the fall.
The fall.
So you were there for the rise.
I was there for the rise, and I bailed out on the fall, yeah. And then Bill Hybels was another one recently. He was the Willow Creek Church guy that led the
Leadership Summit.
Mega Church pastor Brian Houston, who is the co-founder of Hillsong Church in Australia. He resigned. Inappropriate conduct with women, apparently. Bill Hybels had some allegations along the same lines. And then a couple other ones. Todd Wagner of Watermark in Dallas, Texas. He stepped aside for some differences between him and the elders, like that he couldn't get past some pride issues or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just concerns me that all this stuff is going around in the church amongst leaders in the church. What are your guys' thoughts? I mean, how does that rub you when you see an article about a supposed man of God who's fallen? Like, and I know we're all sinners and we all fall and we all do things that are sinful, but when it's something like inappropriate conduct with women and stuff like that, how's that? We're looking at you, man.
Troy, sin is sin.
I agree. Yeah.
So I really don't think it matters what the sin is. I mean, some people have different demons that they battle, you know, whether it's sexual addiction, women, or whatever it is. And some people, you know, I mean, I have an extremely foul mouth, and so it's extremely difficult for me to control that. And I know that that's one of the things that I have issues with, and I really try to work on it. I'm not successful all the time.
And when he's really trying,
nothing.
Yeah.
It was about to fly.
So Matt and I worked together for 2 years.
We're gonna get that little E next to our.
And I mean, maybe once. There could have been more than one. I know it was once. I got you so fired up. There was a need for repentance afterwards. Probably for me firing you up, but I unlocked the cheat code to Matt's
Swearing.
extreme foul mouth. It was epic.
The Marine in me took over
It
at
did.
that minute.
So,
It
did you have a foul mouth before you were a Marine?
But not really, no.
Because before I was
I expected a hell yeah.
before I was a follower of Jesus, like I had the worst mouth. Like it was filthy.
Yeah, I don't. It wasn't too bad, really.
The Marines gave it to you?
Yeah, because it's just, and in the, I would say in the Marine Corps, it's a culture thing, and it's not even meant in a derogatory way. It's almost like an expression at the end of a sentence. It's not like you're angry or, even sometimes you are, but it's not like, it's just in normal conversation that, it's just so commonly used, and there were guys that, wouldn't, and then of course it was everybody else's job to get them to cuss, which was,
Yeah.
kind of funny. And we still have some of the guys that held out, but when they did let something fly, you're like, oh, but to me, it wasn't even, because there it's not considered foul.
Yeah.
It's just the norm of conversation, which isn't right.
But that's what it is.
That's what it is, and so that was and it still is a very hard habit for me to break after the fact. I've really worked on it. And even when I would come home for holidays or something like that, Christmas or whatever it was, I mean, if I wasn't there, I mean, it's not part of the culture. I would just speak normally, so, and then I got a double dose of it because, my mom would cuss back in the day. My dad, I never heard him cuss once. Other than I think maybe once, but I'll never forget the first time that I cussed in front of him, and we were outside shooting baskets, and I just kept missing. And he goes, "What are you doing? You don't normally miss this much." And I go, "The damn sun's in my eyes." And he goes, I was like, "Don't tell Mom," But I think that was the first one I really let fly. But yeah, I think it's a culture thing. Anyway, we got off topic on
Sin is sin.
but sin is sin.
And you have
right?
a problem with foul mouth.
Yeah. So, I mean, my foul mouth, and I guess that's my battle that I constantly deal with. And, and there's some other ones that aren't public, I mean, doubt and anxiety and stuff like that, stuff that I deal with daily, but you can't see it. But my foul mouth and my doubting and my anxiety is really, it's absolutely no different in God's eyes than somebody who's, having inappropriate conduct with women. I mean, it's all the same,
Yeah, I think humans are humans, but I think if some of the churches that you mentioned are highly questionable churches as well. So they're anytime you get into a mega church situation, it's typically because there's some dynamic person that's there,
Right.
and
becomes a power.
Typically, yeah.
It's a power, and it's a there is a human desire to be a part of something that's big. So I go to the biggest church in wherever, and so I'm talking about the congregation here. Sometimes they're willing to overlook character flaws or concerns because there's a lot of people that are coming in the door, which gives more liberty to somebody in a position that's going to be easier to make a mistake like that. So there's more liberty, and there are more people that are interacted with, and there's more celebrity, if you will, at that kind of level is, for those that can have celebrity at a church. The sinful nature is going to end up taking over. And if there's, conceit, if there's, pride, if there's all this other stuff, and you've got people that are just practically there worshiping the person as opposed to what the church is in existence for anyway,
Yeah.
then you're going to be put in a position. But I can tell you those people in those positions are going to be attacked spiritually and in ways physically. Not like physical abuse attack, but like chicks running after them more because they're in that position.
Right.
Like the pressure has got to be extremely hard. And I think one of the bigger problems with people that are leading churches is that there's nobody in the church that they can confide in from an accountability perspective. Typically, you have that. I'll just talk about it in a work setting, right? If I'm struggling with a leadership issue, like I don't know how to deal with this situation, I'm not going to go ask my employees how should I deal with this situation that I have with a rough employee that I don't know what to do with. I'm going to go ask a peer, right? I'm going to. So there's some anonymity there, but I mean, you get swamped in one of these churches. You got to make time to speak to people that are not part of your congregation. I mean, that's the first thing you're going to give up. If you get overwhelmed, it's like, I'm going to give up accountability. So if you don't even have an accountability partner, you're just in a tough spot. It's almost like a ticking time bomb. Something's going to happen, may not be infidelity, but something,
Yeah, something's going to come up for
sure.
So,
I think the way that we set that up, I mean, you talk about, I want somebody that's dynamic and attractive and can speak really well and is very personable and and you go down that list. And sometimes the lowest thing on that list is I want somebody that is true to the Word of God, and whether or not they're flashy, I don't care, right? Somebody that teaches the Word of God. And a lot of times you get the mega church, if that's what everybody's after, they're not going after that person. They're going after somebody that's flashy.
Flashy, yeah. Well, I think Tim Keller had some really good comments when he did a follow-up interview on the Rise and Fall of Mars Hill. The Presbyterians have a accountability circle. Basically, I don't know what they actually call it, but it's like a group of elders in a Baptist church, but they have something, but they're regional. So if something happens in, say, Tim Keller, actually, he talks about in that episode, he got called into the committee a couple of times for some stuff that he was doing, just to figure out, like, hey, why are you doing it this way? What are you doing? We need to, this isn't how we do things. We need to talk this out and walk through it. And he did. And, he was left in the pastoral seat there at his church. So, yeah, I don't know. It just had me thinking about that. And then I came across some statistics in a southern region recently that just, it's discouraging when you think about the churches as a whole. And I'm sure if it's in this region and it sounds this bad, it's probably like that everywhere. Possibly could be. So, a study of 42 churches in this region revealed that 31 are dead or disbanded. And the ones that are the ones that are dying are expected to disband within the next 3 to 5 years. The other 11 healthy churches are surrounded by churches that have died or dying and are declining. Of the 11 churches that are healthy, only 4 are growing, and the other 7 are stable. So, I don't even know the result of this. Is it, bad leadership? Is it demographics? Is it, what is it? Like, I have no answers. I have no I've got a ton of questions. I have no answers.
I'm going to go off half-cocked here because it's been a long time since I've looked into it. But I can tell you just some of the things that I've experienced is you get a lot of churches don't want to change.
Yeah.
So if you look at tradition, and you missed out on this, you need to go back and look at our text chat.
We had an epic.
Dude.
Oh, I know. I woke up the other morning, it's like 100 and something texts, and I just didn't have time to read them all.
You got to, man. This is going to be one of the better blessings of life that you will have.
I did see hymnal number 475, Victory in Jesus.
Yes.
I remember that number.
Matt and I had a conversation. So Matt grew up in a small rural type church.
No,
it wasn't rural. It was here in town.
Yeah. So yeah,
because you didn't grow up in the country.
I did. We had to drive all the way in because that's where the church was.
Okay.
Westview Baptist Church.
Stop.
So I grew up in a small Baptist church in central Louisiana, and so glad I did. But Baptist hymnal, like so.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I can't remember exactly how it started. It was the baptistry having a painting of the whatever. Well, the next thing you know, every text was a statement to respond to the previous text, which was part of an old Baptist hymnal song. Yeah, so we just kept going until we ran out of all the songs. Like, Matt's like, "And being that I've decided to follow Jesus, there's no turning back." And I said, "I can hear you singing that softly and tenderly right now." And he's like, "It's just as I am, without one plea." Yeah. And then I was like, since Troy isn't keeping up with any of these messages, he should take it to the Lord in prayer. And then Matt's like, "Well, my hope is built on nothing less." And they're like, "I have blessed assurance in that." And he's like, "Yeah, nothing but the blood." And then I asked him if he had his sweet hour of prayer today. And he's like, "Of course, because he lives." And I was like, "Yeah, 'tis so sweet to trust in Jesus."
Oh, that's
anyway,
good.
So that went on for 100 texts.
It is well.
Just back and forth. So
it is well.
to bring, I'm telling you, man, we did them all.
I don't know if we covered it as well.
I think I did.
Did you, man?
I think I did.
I was gonna say because
We'll have to go back
I
to the
was
tape on that.
I was running on fumes.
Yeah.
There towards the end, I was like,
And then I was wondering if I was repeating myself with some of the stuff.
I know. I repeated one that you said too. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you already said that one." I got.
And then it's like, well, he named he did a part of the chorus. Well, what if I just said one of the verses, But anyway, so you get back into, I think there was a pretty big break in the 90s of, it's when quote unquote modern praise and worship music kind of really started to branch out. And then you had this chasm in the church of how do we deal with new and tradition. And so I think a lot of the churches that are stagnant or dying, it's actually physically dying because they stuck with tradition so hard that it didn't move with the culture. And I'm not saying non-biblical culture, but people's music tastes, way they worship changes over time.
Yeah.
And for so long, people are just like, this is how it's got to be. We've got to sing these songs. We don't want to get rid of the hymnal. We want to be traditional. We want to do this. We want to have a choir. We want to, we don't want to bring in any other instruments than a piano or whatever.
Yeah.
And so people held so much onto tradition that they lost sight of what the purpose of the church is for. Purpose of the church is not for tradition, right? It's for a place for believers to come together and to worship God and to serve each other and to serve the community. And if your biggest focus is not conforming to the new, younger way of doing things, then that tradition is going to die with age.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing right now. And part of it, again, there's a whole lot more to the thesis of what's going on in Western churches today. But a lot of it comes with comfort. And we talked an episode back about roughing it and refining our skills. And I mean, you walk in a lot of these places and there's sound systems and all this other kind of, it's very comfortable to be there. And that's not necessarily, when it's easy for us, it's not necessarily the easiest thing for the Spirit to move. So that's kind of and then you put up an individual that's dealing with all that tension and that stress. You take accountability partners away from them and they're just on their own. Yeah, man, that's a tough situation to be. They're going to some form or fashion, possibly. I mean, it's a tough environment.
Well, and it's not. I wouldn't say that it's just pastors, even though that's what we're talking about. I mean, that happens with anybody that's given a position of leadership and given that power to make those decisions. Where, I mean, you see, actors all the time. Athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that's, I would, I guess, kind of consider that celebrity status, because within those churches, especially huge churches like that, I mean, that's, becomes, oh, well, I'm the reason that this is a success. I'm the reason that this is, and I want it this way. And so they lose sight and they lose focus on what they're really there for, which is to preach God's word and lead their congregation to a closer relationship with Jesus, or lead a person to Jesus. And, it becomes more of This is about me. This is, look at what I've done. And, I think they're just getting knocked off their pedestal, basically, is kind of what I think's happening. And that's just and I don't know, like I said, why those churches were started, but I'm always suspect of mega churches anyway, because of situations like that, because it does take a certain type of person to truly lead a huge church like that. Because I've seen it even down on small level stuff. I mean, you could be a mid-level entrepreneur, business owner, and then let that go to your head, and then everything kind of goes downhill. So I don't think it's just,
it's definitely a lot more public at the bigger churches when something does go
100%.
wrong.
Yeah.
And then you've also got the other churches that, and I use churches in quotes, they're the ones that everybody says should be paying taxes, the ones with the, private jets and your prosperity gospel preachers and the people who, what was it called?
Name it, claim it.
No. The
G6.
The distorting. They distort the word of God. Because I watched a whole series on that stuff, and then you got and I think it's the Hillsong up there. I don't know, whatever Justin Bieber's now, part of and stuff like that, you know, and you worry about that because they, and Kanye West and guys that claim Jesus, but do they have the real Jesus, or are they being taught a version of it that is not correct? And so, when you got Joe Rogan commenting on a preacher's outfit and saying he's able to see his, something root, I mean, did you hear that comment?
No.
So I think it's the Hillsong pastor.
Furtick. Stephen Furtick.
I don't know the guy's name. I forget.
Oh, he hadn't fallen.
Well, and this guy hasn't fallen.
Are you prophesying, Chet?
I don't know, man.
This guy, so far as I know, this guy hasn't fallen. He's pretty popular and he's hanging out with all the athletes and movie stars and stuff like that.
Is he he's Miami pastor somewhere in Miami? Anyway, look it up, Chet. Well, Matt's talking.
Yeah, but anyway, so at the risk of
Are you asking me to Google Joe Rogan sees a pastor's root? Is that what you just asked me to do?
No, I wanted you to look up who the pastor is he's talking about.
That's the only way I would know. That's the only
But
thing
you said a name. You said Steven something.
That's the only thing he's described.
just go Justin Bieber's pastor, and so
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, but when you got and I'm going to say what Joe Rogan actually said, but Joe Rogan was commenting on it, and there was a picture of this pastor and Justin Bieber walking, I don't know, somewhere on the beach or out in public. And he goes, look at that. You could see that pastor's dick root, and I mean, and I was like, what? Yeah, that.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And
That's gross.
Stephen Lentz.
yeah, Stephen Lentz. And I was like, that guy's a pastor, and I was like, that doesn't portray what,
Wikipedia says he's an American former pastor.
oh, so maybe he gave it up.
Celebrity pastor.
But
He's the American. He was the American leader of the Hillsong Church. Yeah.
But I look at stuff like that, and
He was fired by Brian Houston, who then had allegations against him, and he was gone. So whatever.
Yeah.
Wild stuff. So yeah.
My suggestion for any of our listeners that may be worried about, how do I get into a church that's not going to fall to something like that? I wouldn't go to a church that's small enough to know where you could personally know the pastor. Number one. Number two, you got to be praying for that dude. Like that's they're under so much stress. Not just him, his family.
And that's a pastor of any church.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what better to pray for somebody that you actually know, right? I mean, so be in a church small enough to know, who the pastor is. They know who you are, and never give up praying for them. Like,
yeah, and don't believe the hype. You don't need to be in a private jet at 36,000 feet to talk to God instead of being in a tube full of demons.
Dude, yeah, this commercial's full of demons, and there's evidence of it everywhere. People.
I mean, and I'm just saying that, if you're a man of God and you're really wanting to preach the gospel, the best place to do that would be in a tube full of demons. I mean,
You know what we're talking about?
No.
There was Kenneth Copeland was asked like why do
he
you fly
need to-
around in a private jet, and he was like, well, you kind of, I don't even know the direct quote, but he was like, I can't fly commercial because it's a tube full of demons.
Well, no, he and another one, and I can't remember that guy's name, but they were talking about their private jets, and each one was comparing. Oh, well, I've got this one, and I've got this one, and I love to fly, and the church need this, so I can preach the gospel around the world.
How am I going to get to all my vacation homes?
But I just can't talk to God. When you're up there 36,000 feet, and I said, Lord, and Lord spoke to me, and I'm like, well, Lord gave you the Bible. That's how he spoke to you, son. But I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
you don't have to be at 36,000 feet to pray. You can do that right here on the ground and do it for your pastors and the leadership of your church. Because I know from personal experience with my dad and my brothers, that how much pressure that they're under. And I know that my dad, now he would never admit this, but I believe he had a heart attack, and there was nothing wrong other than it was stress induced, and I was like, dude, hey, that's a lot of pressure to have all those people that you're responsible for that call you, all the time asking, you to pray for them and wanting you to talk through the problems. I said, it's a lot of weight to do that for somebody. Cause I know what it's like when people, when guys call me when they're having issues, and they might be suicidal and trying to talk them through those issues. And I know what that's like. I go, and I don't have to do that on a daily basis, and then meet these people at church on Sunday and go through the same things again. And, I go, it's a process. So pray for those pastors and leadership for sure.
All right. Before we go to a break, I'll read you the direct quote because it's better than what we've described. He was in a video with one of his colleagues, and they were both discussing this. And his direct quote was, I used to fly in airplanes, but it got to the point where it was agitating me spiritually. It had become, I had become famous, and they were wanting me to pray with them and all of that. You can't manage that today in this dope-filled world. You get in an airplane, you get in a long tube with a bunch of demons, and it's deadly. All right. We're going to go to commercial break.
Are you driving traffic to your website? Do you have an engaging homepage? Better yet, does your homepage have a video? We recently created a video for a client about his business and the services they provide. Since he placed the video on the homepage of their website, he has had a number of clients specifically say they decided to use his services because of that video. At Trussell Media, we help businesses create engaging videos to host on their websites, email to clients, and use in their social media marketing. Contact us if you're interested in creating a video for your homepage today. TrussellMedia.com. Fill out the form at TrussellMedia.com/contact. Let us help you tell your story through video.
It cracks me up every single time.
All right, we're back. We're
Copeland.
back.
Wow.
We're bringing it on back. That was a wonderful commercial. I don't know what you did during that commercial break, but we had a lot of fun.
I had a
here
good
at the
time with you
studio.
too. That was a
Trussell
lot of
Media
fun.
Studios.
Yeah.
If you're looking for some entertainment and need some more Kenneth Copeland fun facts, go ahead and just Google COVID-19 Kenneth Copeland remix.
Just go straight to YouTube and do it in the search there.
I guarantee you will not be disappointed.
All right, top 3 impulse buys at a grocery store. Matt.
Number 3, pork butt. That's my impulse buy. Like I cannot stop by the meat section. I mean, I can be there for let's call it a package of hot dogs, and then I see the pork butts, and I'm like,
Gotta have a pork butt.
boop, might as well pick it up. Gonna smoke it anyway.
That was like a video game sound. Boop boop boop.
That's what it sounds like when you put a pork butt in your
That's what it sounds like
In
when
your
buggy.
that's what happens when I scan it.
Did you call them buggies growing up or shopping carts?
Cart.
Cart. It's a buggy.
That's what everybody. Yeah, down south they call it buggy. Yeah. Up here they look at Number 2, anytime I walk by the sweet tea, I'm gonna pick up a bottle, gallon, whatever. It doesn't matter.
That's the Southern in Matt.
That's
Sweet
that
tea.
I mean, and I'm I'm a big fan of Red Diamond.
Store bought, yeah.
Yeah. And if there's Milos, I'll stop and get some Milos, whatever.
Yep.
I'm pretty okay with either one. But that's my impulse purchase. And then number one, if I'm actually in the store, which is never, I am going to stop.
True story.
Yep.
And I will not leave without oat milk cream pies.
Oatmeal cream pies. OMCP.
Cookie cream pie. My 4-year-old calls them cookie cream pies.
I don't know what it is about those, and it's got to be the big ones.
Yeah.
I know. I disagree.
Dude.
The ratios are off.
Matt, let the record show.
No.
I agree with you.
Yeah. There's more frosting.
You know what?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting because you're both wrong. I mean,
I like how you think I'm wrong on my impulse purchase.
Hey, let me ask you this.
No, I'm just
Have
saying
you
that
ever bought one at the
There's too
Great
much.
American Cookie Company?
No,
it's too sweet. The cookie,
Missing
no.
out.
No, I'm not missing out. Little Debbie's where it's at.
Little Debbie, but the ratio on the large size when there's too much of that cream.
Well, that's my favorite part. I mean,
Yeah.
Missing out if you hadn't had one from Great American.
but those are my
That's way too sweet. That's way too sweet.
Yeah, I think so too.
You're not even a sweet guy. Like you don't like sweets.
I'm a pretty sweet guy.
Yeah,
Come on, Chet.
That's how I describe you. Like, tell me a little bit about your brother. I'm like, well, he's a sweet guy.
I like sweets. I don't like. I'm not a huge chocolate fan.
Okay.
I like sweet tarts. I like
That's tart.
cookie cream pies. You know,
You mean oat milk cream pie?
that's my 4-year-old calls them cookie cream pies.
Well, that's not what they are. It's oat milk cream pie.
Great American Cookie Company doesn't even have oatmeal. It's just a cookie, a chocolate chip cookie, right?
Oh yeah, there's no.
Yeah, and it's not as good.
All right. Well, I'll go. Number 3, a Diet Mountain Dew at the checkout. I don't buy those for home, so you get the 20-ounce bottle there when checking out. 100% impulse, because sometimes they're not there. This is maybe like Coke instead of Pepsi products. And I don't get any. It's not like I want something there. It's like if I see a Diet Dew, I'm grabbing a Diet Dew. If I don't see it, I'm not grabbing anything. Number 2, we kind of talked about this a little bit a long time ago on cereals, our top 3 cereals. And we kind of talked, my wife has a specific, rotation of cereals that she buys. And so if I'm grocery shopping, I impulse buy something that's not in that normal rotation. I'll walk down the aisle and see whatever I feel like, what's this kind of, is this a Fruit Loops kind of impulse buy today? Maybe a little corn pop.
Ooh, Golden Grams.
I don't like Golden Grams.
You get out
But
of
anyway.
town. Golden Puffs.
I've never had Golden Puffs.
Ooh, those are good.
I like.
What was
Golden
that one with the
Grams, though.
smacks and the frog? Honey Smacks.
Honey
Smacks.
Smacks. Yeah.
I don't even think they make those anymore.
Hey, when we go rough it, can we bring cereal?
Honey Smacks, yes. Only if it's Honey Smacks. All right. Number 1, any kind of ice cream. And if it's, I kind of lean towards the novelties as opposed to the tubs of ice cream.
Okay.
Because my kids will wipe out.
Oh yeah.
They will wipe out some ice cream. So if it's a novel like a drumstick or my favorite Klondike bars, then they only could get one. And we're like, hey,
What would you do
4 Klondike bars.
for a Klondike bar?
But yeah, so ice cream, some kind of ice cream.
I would say that would probably make my honorable mention list, because when I'm shopping for camp and I'm getting the food for the week, I typically just go to Dollar General, but they have a really sweet ice cream section.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of the Marathon bars now.
Yeah.
Those are actually really, really good.
The what bars?
Marathon?
Oh, I've never had one of those.
Yeah, they're really good.
Well, anyway, yeah, any kind of ice cream, but specifically the drumsticks, ice cream sandwiches, Klondike bars.
Now, do you like the original drumstick, or do you like the one with the caramel in the middle, or do you like the one that's chocolate?
All the above. It doesn't matter. Just pick one.
Yeah, it's a toss up for me.
I'm an equal opportunity ice cream.
I'm not big on the chocolate one, but
I'm surprised you didn't interrupt him and say all of it.
I would prefer, like if there's like 2 of them sitting right there and I got to pick, the fudge is gonna be last. Like it's gonna be the caramel over all that.
Okay, so the caramel's your first.
Yeah, and I like the the nuts on the outside. Give me a little peanuts.
Well, you
like
always got to
those.
have that. That's on every one of those,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think they come without that. I think that's kind of
I'm
their
not sure.
trademark.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I would like
And then what's your favorite part of it?
the thick chocolate part at the bottom.
Yeah.
With the
yeah,
cone
in
around
the
it.
bottom of
Yep,
the cone.
bottom
yeah.
of the cone.
Yeah.
That's good.
And it's always a good thing if you ate it all and didn't drip on you somewhere, because you're trying to avoid the sticky hand.
Yep. Every now and then when you open it up, the goal is to try to get none of the nuts to fall off. You get all of them.
Right. Man,
It's an event
got
when
a
you,
lot in
it's an
common.
event
It's
when you
good.
eat it.
It's a thing. It's a
Yeah.
thing. You
I
gotta,
like drums. I'm gonna have to get some.
You got to be
now.
gentle with it, or you knock the nuts off before you even open the package.
Yep.
You got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
But I think whenever the time years from now that I'm a grandparent and the kids are old enough to come over, kind of where we're not like diapers kind of situation here. I'm gonna have all that stuff, for spoil the grandkids.
Oh yeah.
Just a freezer full
Yeah.
of treats.
Yeah.
Just send them home all jacked up.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? Oh, you like ice cream sandwiches? Oh, you like drumsticks? They're like, I'll have it all. I'll just get it all in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm going to sneak in whatever I want too. Oh, it's for the grandkids.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Just all you got to do is make sure you got cinnamon toast crunch and you're good.
Troy. I don't know. We've had too much of that.
No, I meant for your wife.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, number 3, bag of Funyuns. If I see it, I gotta have it. And my Noah, 10-year-old, he's following in my footsteps.
What is it?
Funyuns?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like what food? What are you consuming when you eat that? Because it's not potatoes.
Well, it's not onion either.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it
good.
tastes good. Yeah.
It's probably not good for you.
That'll eat your mouth up.
It does. It kind
Like
of gets the roof of your mouth.
Like Captain Crunch. It's the Captain Crunch of the chip world.
Yeah, it is.
That's right. Yeah, got to be careful. Number 2, donut.
All right, you got to be a little bit more specific.
The case of donuts,
Oh, okay. So
like in the case.
yeah.
I usually get an
But-
eclair, like the long chocolate
But-
covered.
How do you get that? Like your grocery shopping?
Oh
Or-
no, I'm talking like Quick Trip.
Oh, okay. Because this is impulse buy at a grocery
Or a
store.
grocery store.
Oh,
And they have those there. I was just wondering how you got it through checkout. Like if you got an eclair at Target.
oh no, I get it.
Did you know
I
Target
get
gives
most
free
of them
cookies
at
to your
Quick
kids?
Trip. Yes, I did know that.
Yeah.
We used to go a lot
Yep.
and get free cookies.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
old Target.
it's not free because you're spending an extra $100 for your groceries there.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, but at least I got a free cookie for the kids.
Yeah. Hop them up on sugar.
Yeah.
Take them to the toy aisle. Great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, Snickers bar. I get it pretty much anytime I'm
A
at the
regular
grocery
Snickers?
store. Sometimes I'll go with the
King-
double.
The king size.
They have
But
two little ones.
Not like the Snickers almond?
No, I'm a regular Snickers guy.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And sometimes if I get one that's not the regular, I didn't look at it close enough, I just grab it. Man, I get
Disappointed.
I was
It's like
You get that
shafted.
feeling like, man.
Yeah, like this isn't what I wanted. Suck. Yeah.
your mom's dad, his favorite candy bar was Snickers almond. And
Oh yeah,
so-
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with him one day and that came up and I just never forgot it because I like Snickers almond. Yeah.
Not a fan, but
Well,
anyway.
you didn't like your granddad.
No, that's not true.
You need to learn how to like Snickers almond in his honor. All right, let's see what we got here from a good word, Mr. Matt Amos.
So, good word today. I'm going to kind of continue on a little further down in the chapter of 2 Corinthians where Chet was a week before last, I believe. And it kind of has a little bit to do with what we talked about today, strangely enough, actually. But 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4 says, "The God, small g, of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ, who is the image of God." And so it's easy for unbelievers, especially given the pastors of churches like that, going down, because they don't understand that we're, just because we're Christian, we're still human, we're still sinners. And, it's up to us as Christians to be that light and set that example and not be a stumbling block for others. And it's even more difficult, I think, today when you go out and you have a debate, and you talk to somebody and whether it's evolution or whatever, because there's differences in the church, with people that believe, the earth was, 4 million years old, to those who believe it's 6,000 years old, and so, and again, the God of this age, Satan, has blinded them. And so, and I think just sticking true, like Chet was talking about earlier, sticking true to the word, not wavering, not distorting the truth, is the way to make those unbelievers see and take the blindfolds off. And so that, I guess that's kind of, I don't even know what a single good word out of that would be, other than, be that example for other people, be that Christ-like example to follow, and I'm the first one to say, when I go on a foul-mouthed tirade, I'm not that example.
Scary.
And
look like a tube full of demons.
Definitely. And so I realize as a Christian, that's something that I really, really need to work on, and set that example and be a better example to everybody around me, including my wife and kids, because there are times when I go off on that and they hear it, and after the fact, it's like, I shouldn't have done that, so, but I guess a good word
light.
For today would be the example.
Yeah. The light.
Be the light.
Yeah. It says, they can see the light of the gospel. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let light shine out of the darkness.
That's a good word, man. I appreciate that.
Good word, Matt.
We will catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.